Greetings, friends. It's Pat with another episode of Let's Talk Travel. We welcome our live listeners, but if you're catching us on an instant replay, we're glad that you are out there as well. Now, last week, if you were with us, you know that we talked about our favorite premium cruise lines. And tonight we're going to look at and help you understand and differentiate the experience aboard the contemporary mass market cruise lines. What differentiates the various brands from each other? Stay tuned. If you're new to cruising, or if you have sailed on a particular cruise line and are interested in knowing more about maybe thinking about checking out someone else, this might give you some guidance about what that experience might be like on one of those other brands. Anyway, also be sure to stay tuned, because if you are interested in our drawing for live listeners, you're going to want to stay tuned. We've got a great prize this evening. I'm going to give away a $50 Olive Garden gift card this evening. So you want to stay tuned, because someone of you listening live will have an opportunity to win that card. We're going to be looking at 4 different brands this evening. Now, by way of background, I'm just going to kind of go over this again, because I know that people don't watch every week. But just in the cruise industry, the brands are divided into more or less 4 basic categories. You have the brands that we're talking about, the contemporary, what they call it, contemporary brands. These are the mass market brands that we'll be talking about this evening. Then you have the premium brands. That's the Holland America, Princess, Celebrity that we talked about last week. Ultra premium, such as Azamara and Oceania. And then you have your 5-star, frankly, just pure luxury cruise lines like Regent, Seven Seas, and Seabourn. Cunard falls in there as well. Anyway, if you think about these different cruise categories, if you think about it, oh dear Lord, what have I done? I just clicked off on the wrong thing here. I don't know how I did that. But if you think about hotel brands where you may stay, you have the contemporary brands like your Holiday Inn and Fairfield Inn, and those brands, those would be the equivalent of the contemporary mass market brands. Step up a little bit, and you have your Hiltons and Sheratons, brands like that, and Marriott, so forth. That would be your premium, the equivalent of the premium cruise line brands. The ultra premium brands might be the Fairmont brands and Park Hyatt, things with a little more upscale brands. And then you have your Ritz-Carlton and Four Seasons up at the top of the pyramid there. And they're all great brands, but your expectations and inclusions that you're going to expect from the Ritz-Carlton is going to be entirely different than what you will expect if you check in at the Holiday Inn. It's just they're just different, and they're all fine. So you just have a bit of a different experience, different strokes for different folks. And anyway, just covering that again in case you didn't catch our previous outline of that, because it kind of helps you think through which category of vessels might best suit your travel style. If you are a Holiday Inn person, you might want to be on Norwegian Cruise Line. But if you stay more at the Hilton brands, you might be looking more at Holland America and Celebrity. So just a little way of you might think which brand might suit you better. So Tonight, as I indicated, we are going to be talking about 4 different brands, and we're going to start off with Carnival Cruise Lines this evening. Now, Carnival is the biggest cruise line in the world. Currently, they have 25 vessels in their fleet and another scheduled to launch next year. They own also Carnival Cruise Lines, the parent organization there. They own Holland America. They own Princess. They have several other brands that you may not be as familiar with, but Carnival is a huge, huge player in the industry. Now, Carnival, for where it is today, they really had an inauspicious start when they got off. Prior to Carnival coming on the scenes, the cruise vacations had been primarily for the very wealthy. They weren't something that the masses could ever anticipate doing a cruise vacation. It was for the Rockefellers and the other very wealthy people. But back years ago in the 60s, Ted Arison had a vision of making cruises accessible for the common person, that the rest of the world could experience this fabulous vacation called a cruise. So he purchased an old ocean liner, a retired ocean liner. He renamed it the Mardi Gras. Honestly, he could only afford at that point in time. He painted one side of the vessel. They always tried to get that side facing the pier. And on their first sailing out of Miami, the Mardi Gras actually ran aground in Miami on a sandbar. So that was a very inauspicious start for the cruise line there for Carnival Cruise Lines. And that ship was a far cry from the Mardi Gras of today. This is a picture of the new Mardi Gras. The old Mardi Gras actually would, about a tenth the size of this vessel. It was very, very small in comparison to this. But I venture to say that nobody, and least of all Ted Arison, ever anticipated that Carnival Cruise Lines would end up the way it has and taking over such a large share of the worldwide cruise market. Now, what should you expect when sailing on a Carnival ship? Now, with 24 vessels currently in their fleet, I have to say there can be a good bit of variation from one sailing experience to the other. They have a couple of smaller, older vessels, and folks, I'm just telling you that I try not to book. They're old fantasy class vessels, and folks say they're small, and no matter how good a shape Carnival tries to keep them in, they just are lacking in wow factor. And I'm really reluctant to book that particular experience for most of our Dancing Moon travel clients. It just kind of doesn't give the experience that we're looking for most of our clients to have. Now, if you're in Florida and you're just looking for a quick getaway, you might talk me into it, but for the most part, we really try to book one of the larger and more ships with more of a wow factor. Now, the newer ships with Carnival, I mean, wow factor indeed, they have that, and they provide a great cruise experience for and very affordable, folks. Carnival is a great cruise for young couples, groups of friends and family, and they do have an appeal for a number of empty nesters and people in my genre. Now, if you are, I really think that there are almost two different cruise experiences when you're sailing with Carnival. If you sail on one of their 3 and 4 night booze cruise getaways, you are going to find a lot of party animals on board typically. It's going to be loud, and if it can be, a little disconcerting sometimes. You're going to find a lot of young families with kids on board those as well. You have a totally different experience frequently on the newer vessels that are sailing 5 nights or more on the Caribbean itineraries or other destinations around the world, because you have a different demographic on board. You're going to have a lot more of the more mature sailing people. It's just going to be more people that are, a little past that party hardy stage in life, and also fewer families. Now, who should choose to sail on Carnival? I mean, it can be anybody. Actually, the demographics from Carnival itself, they indicate that about 30% of their passengers are under age 35. Another 40% are between 35 and 55, and you have a good 30% on a typical sailing who are over the age of 55. A high percentage of people sailing with Carnival are still first-time cruisers. It is a great choice for the first-time cruiser just wanting to check things out and have that experience. Their tagline, fun for all. I mean, if you are a party animal, or if you're a senior who's still young at heart and has enjoys a lot of fun factor, if you enjoy that fun factor, if you can appreciate a good belly flop or a hairy chest contest, you would be a good match for Carnival on your next cruise vacation. Let's just go out and have a little fun. Also, if you have a group that wants to sail, I absolutely love, love, love Carnival for group sailings. Nobody does groups as well as Carnival. And if you want to have a lot of fun factor and things and activities, fun things to do, Carnival has everything you can think of. This is their roller coaster on some of their newer vessels. Here's that roller coaster and the water park. It's another view. You can see there the mini golf, and they have pickleball and all kinds of things for people to do. So if you like activity and fun factor, Carnival can be a great choice for a cruise vacation with you. Now, next on our list of cruise contemporary cruise lines, we love, I've picked up the wrong vessel here. This is Norwegian Cruise Line. This happens to be one of their New York sailings, I believe, although that could be Miami. I'm not sure where this is. But this is a great choice as well. They have been, Norwegian has just always, since the beginning, been a pioneer in the cruise market. Back in 2000, they launched their model Freestyle Cruising, and that has been, it just immediately was popular with a certain segment of the cruise industry. A lot of people were just looking for a less structured approach to their cruise vacations, and here Norwegian offered it up for them. No set times for dining. Dine when you want, with whom you want. Also, no set elegant nights. Now, they will have some times when you see this on board the vessels. Sometimes you see people dressed to the nines on Norwegian, but it's your choice. You do it your way. And that has just been so popular that it has been emulated to some extent with virtually every cruise line in the market. They absolutely love the Norwegian cruise experience. And they currently have a fleet of 19 vessels. Other things that they have been a first in launching, they actually, they were the first to initiate the private islands. They were the first to have a private island experience and offer that for their passengers. And they were the first again when it came to the private enclave, the ship within a ship concept for those who would like to have the key card access and a little more privacy and an intimate sailing experience, but yet be just steps away from all the major activities and Broadway shows and all those other things that you will find just an elevator ride away on NCL's ships. Now, some of their ships, their fleet ranges. They have ships as small as has just 1,900 passengers. I'm thinking the Norwegian Sun here, and ships that have 4,000 plus. So true mega ships here. It's interesting to me to note that the last couple of launches you find with NCL have been tending toward a little smaller ship. The Prima and Viva, they've taken a downward turn. They are down around the 3,100 passengers versus 4,000 plus. So interesting to note that when everything else is getting bigger and better, NCL is just going kind of the other direction on their sailings. Now, they were also, here again, another thing that NCL had pioneered, and this has been so popular with cruisers, is they initiated the fares that include your beverage package, Wi-Fi, shore excursion credit. All of these different initiatives have really caught hold with cruise passengers to the point that pretty much every cruise line out there is emulating at least one or two of these initiatives that were originally started by NCL. Now, if you are a person who enjoys a lot of activity, NCL could be a great choice for you. If you enjoy an active cruise experience, it's a great choice for you because there's all kinds of activities and entertainment and huge. And if you enjoy a less formal atmosphere, this could be a great choice for your cruise experience. Now, another great popular carrier is Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines. Who doesn't know Royal Caribbean? Fabulous choice for couples, for families. Royal Caribbean actually appeals to most everyone. They have a broad demographic aboard their ships. They appeal to younger families. You're always going to find younger families on board. You're going to have a lot of people in my age category, the empty nesters and senior contingent, and they have a varied fleet. This is one of their smaller vessels, the Radiance class ship. These are on the medium size. Or when they first launched these, they were considered large ships. You'll see that lounge, the back there, that circular feature that's been a prominent feature on Royal Caribbean, as are the climbing walls, which was something that Royal Caribbean pioneered. So you have these smaller ships, more intimate feeling. We sailed fairly recently on the Jewel, had a great time aboard that intimate vessel. Excuse me. But Royal these days is probably best known for their mega ships, the Oasis class, the Quantum class. These newer vessels of theirs are huge. They pioneered this central promenade where you have park-like settings with live plants, um, huge array of entertainment on board these ships. You have Broadway shows, skating rinks, um, just all kinds. You'll have all kinds of entertainment that you can think of. The aqua shows on here, that you can see that at the very back of the ship here. They are very popular with people. So many active entertainment options as well. They pioneered the climbing wall and the flow rider. Folks, this is so much fun to watch. I was interested when we sailed on a lure fairly recently, that they show a young guy here in this promotional photo, um, but a lot of the people who were doing the flow rider were like your older surfer style, people in their 50s. I saw a lot of them doing the flow rider and doing it very well. Royal Caribbean is a great choice for most anybody. And folks, when we talk about kids on board these cruise line ships, the contemporary market does appeal to families to a great extent, yes. But it's not like the kids are constantly underfoot. They have fabulous kids programs where the kids are engaged and entertained. They're doing things, they're making new friends, they're engaged in their own activities, and they're not running around underfoot constantly to where you're tripping over children. Even on these contemporary lines, they are off doing their own thing for the most part. Royal Caribbean even has what they call family time dining, where the family comes in, and while the adults are having their first course, their appetizers, the kids are having their main meal, and then staff comes in and collects the kids and takes them on to their own activities. They finish their meal while the adults are having their first courses, and then the adults can relax and have a more upscale quiet dining experience. So love that family time dining that is offered on Royal Caribbean. Great choice. Royal Caribbean it just has broad appeal for pretty much everybody, whether you enjoy the smaller ships, the larger ships, the mega ships, whether you want to be very active, or you like to do production shows and aqua shows. There's something for everyone aboard these Royal Caribbean fleet of vessels. Again, a huge array of vessels. Now, I'm going to wind up this evening talking about another cruise line that you may not be nearly so familiar with. This is MSC. And I'm going to tell you, folks, many of you have heard me talk about this cruise line. Many of you have actually switched over to experience this. I didn't used to sell MSC. I had a negative opinion that I had formed from talking with one of my fellow agents who I respect greatly in the industry, and he had some negative experiences, and I'd never been aboard their vessels, and I really tried not to sell them. If one of my clients asked about MSC, I try to change them over and book another cruise line for them. I really just felt like it wasn't a good choice. Well, folks, then they got me aboard one of their vessels. I had an opportunity to be one of 6 agents that was had an opportunity to sail with them pre-pandemic. And folks, I totally did a 180 turn once I got aboard. It was the MSC Seaside. And I got on there and I was like, wow, this is great. It was a fabulous experience. Now it does have some differences. MSC is a new player in the Caribbean market by cruise standards. They came over here, I think, about 7 years ago, and they have stuck it out, where most of the European lines have come to the Caribbean and stayed a year or two and just went back to Europe with their tail between their legs or their rudder or whatever. Just couldn't quite adapt to the American market. MSC has hung in there, and their experience keeps getting better, and they now have great appeal for those of us sailing from the US. Now, there are some differences. Primarily, it does still have a bit of a European flair when you sail aboard. You're going to find, for example, a lot more European passengers on board most sailings. It's their equivalent of our taking our Mediterranean cruise. They come over and do the Caribbean cruise. That's their big deal to say, and they know MSC, so they frequently will choose to sail with MSC because they are the largest carrier in the Mediterranean, believe it or not. So while we're not familiar with them so much, maybe the people in Europe are very familiar with and frequently their cruise line of choice. So you're going to have just a bit of a European flair. I love it. Most of our passengers love it, and we have a number of clients who typically sail Princess and Celebrity who have now switched over, and they haven't switched. They still do their Princess and Celebrity sailings, but they also frequently will slot in a getaway on one of the MSC sailings because they love the experience and it is such a great value. I kind of, their ships are very, they have a little more air of sophistication. Look at this Swarovski, I have a hard time saying that, staircase. This is a feature on board their ships. That's my husband, Marvin. When we were on board the Seaside back pre-pandemic, and the ships have a sophisticated, a little more glitz and glamour than you will find on some of the other contemporary cruise lines, but the pricing is very much equivalent to what you will find on, let's just say, Carnival. They are very much kind of in the entry level market on their pricing. So a great value. Plus, they have a fare where you can include your basic drink packages with beer and wine and mixed drinks up to I think it's $10 or something, and your Wi-Fi included. So great to include that, and it's a very nominal cost overall. And that's something that you can't really get. I mean, the cost of doing this on board Royal Caribbean or Carnival to get your drink package is a lot. It's a costs a lot more, frankly. So love that. Here's another image from the MSC Seaside. This is kind of their glass bridge between the casino and the theater area. Just you can see the kind of the glitz on board this vessel. I am delighted to tell you that we are sailing again with Seaside. We are going on board October 1st, celebrating my sister's birthday. So we are actually sailing again on Seaside in just a couple of weeks. And I cannot wait, folks, to sail with MSC and this particular ship because we really did love it. It has bowling alleys. It's always a lot of activity with MSC. So great choice if you're active, if you like to be engaged and entertained and have a high fun factor and also a hint of glamour and sophistication. Great choice for you there. Now, thank you so much for joining us again this evening for another episode of Let's Talk Travel. And as promised, I do have a drawing this evening. Now, folks, this is for live listeners only, and I want you to go to the comments section on here while you're listening and go and enter Contemporary Cruise in the comments section. Contemporary Cruise, live listeners only. If you enter that, you are going to be entered into our drawing, and tonight's gift prize, I guess it's a prize more than a gift, is a $50 Olive Garden gift card. Now, Olive Garden, they're located all around the country. Can't imagine that you're somewhere where you don't have one within easy driving distance. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you'll make it a regular habit to tune in every Tuesday evening. Next week, our special guest is going to, we're going to be featuring Jason Odell and Shayla Parker, just back from an Alaska cruise with a photography component. So we just plan now to join us next week and hear about their Alaska cruise on Holland America with a group of photographers and how that experience was. So thank you again for joining us. We are going to draw names and we are just stay tuned on the comment section. As soon as I can get that done, I'll enter the name. Thanks, everybody. See you again next week. Bye for now.